Welcome back to another 3D comparison video. We are going to model this free form within Catia Imagine and Shape. So for the case study, I'm going to make use of this figure. We see this is for drag measurements with half bodies performed by Clamper in 1922. For the image reference, you can find that online on various websites, like over here on the first one, Gerald Garage, or on Springer in various papers. So this is quite, let's say, popular and common regarding aerodynamic shapes. So to save that image, you can right-click, save image as. You can choose the location of that file. I already have mine saved on the desktop. And we are gonna model them at a scale for a car. So we are gonna consider this shape to be roughly around 5 meters. So as we can see over here, I have the black and white image in the back. You can easily do that using a photo editing software. For example, I'm making use of Irfan View, which is an free software, but you can use GIMP, which is free as well, or Photoshop or other solutions. We just need to go to image in this case and go for the negative, which is also called invert image, and that will swap everything that is white will become black and vice versa. We can just save this and use it as a reference. It's highly recommended that you use those if you use the standard Catia Imagine and Shape colors. If you want to adjust those, you can check my videos regarding this, so how to adjust style, line style and color for Imagine and Shape Workbench. I will put a video at the top if you are curious regarding that. Okay, so let's get started. I will close the existing product and I will create a new one by going directly to Shape, Sketch Tracer. So this will by default create a new product. I will select this product, but first I will go to the front view. So you can either go at the bottom and swap it to be the front view, or you can press F4 and you can move your mouse around the viewport. And as we can see now in the middle, since I'm already in front view, I will only have the possibility to go to the back view. If I will click it once, I will see that the camera will rotate 180 to the back view. And again, if I will press F4, I will be able to swap back to the front view. And now we're gonna add an immersive sketch in order to add the reference and also calibrate the reference to the desired length. So it will be this Aero 2. We're gonna be prompted with the image loaded. If for some reason you work maybe in part design previously, you will also have a warning over here to swap the shading. So this workflow requires shading with material in order to have that image displayed. Maybe by default you are in shading with edges, as if you model something in part design, you don't need texture over there. So keep that in mind. You can swap the viewport at the bottom, shading with material. Afterwards we'll be prompted with the image and we're going to see two boundaries. So this will crop the image in the back, which we don't want in this case. And the middle section can be used to scale the figure. So I'm just going to move it over here. I'm going to put it roughly at this edge, so where we see that profile having a 90 degrees over here. And I will just frame the car profile at the bottom. So like this. And I will specify that the dimension for the length will be 5000 millimeters, which is 5 meters. And we're going to see that the height of this profile will be around, let's say, 1.5 meters, plus minus, depending on how we adjust that. I will just go with this. We see that since I swapped that, the two dimensions are linked. So that means that if I'm gonna adjust one of those by inputting a value, the other one will also be influenced. So keep that in mind when you are, let's say, positioning this. Or we can just roughly scale it to that intended value. So if I'm gonna again click on right click edit, I'm gonna see that if I'm gonna change this, that value will also be changed because those two are linked together, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I press undo in order to have that change, and unfortunately Catia doesn't have small undo steps, so I will have to redo that again. So I will just quickly scale it and just use with shorter undos. In other softwares there are shorter steps for this, but that shouldn't be a problem. We can just redo that again. I will leave it like this, so I will not unlink that reference between the height and the horizontal length of this image for now. Since this is mostly as a reference, it will be most then okay like this. So click on OK, and we're gonna have that sketch added within the painting gallery. You can expand your tree, you're gonna see painting one over there. Okay, now we need to start modeling, so I'm gonna select the product, go to insert, part. I'm gonna expand that part, and I will double click on the part with the yellow rectangle. That will transfer me to, let's say, in this case, part design workbench. So over here we are within the part workbenches, which the last time I used Catia was part design. That's the reason why this opened. But I can just swap it to Imagine and Shape without any problem, just by going at start and enabling that one. So we are within Imagine and Shape. I will start with a sphere in this case. So I can choose one of the planes. I will choose the YZ plane in this case, and I will click on sphere. I can also use that hotkey Alt-Shift-H, but it's not a friendly hotkey, so I will skip that for now. And we're gonna see that that will bring in a sphere to the part. Now we see that the scale of this sphere is quite large, so we first need to address that. I'm gonna open this, so the tool palette should automatically open for you as well. If for some reason this isn't open, you can just press the space bar, and that will re-enable that process. And now I will select all elements using this cube over here. This will allow me to scale the whole sphere, so click on that. Afterwards, go to affinity, and we're gonna have the addition. So within addition we can input values. I'm gonna type in, so let's say that the initial sphere will have something like 1750 for each. Okay, we're gonna see that. Okay, I'm missing a 7 over here, that's why that shape was so deformed. So I'm gonna add this value to the affinity for all axes, and this will create a sphere with that dimension. Afterwards, we are gonna move this within position, so we're gonna start modeling the first one, which has a drag coefficient of 0.05. To do that, again, I will select all elements, go to translation, and I will just move this in position. So according to that drawing, I'm gonna move it somewhere like here. Now we see that we have a problem. If I'm moving the sphere over here, I will no longer see the drawing behind, so we can make use of transparency in order to fix that. We can select the part over here, and we see at the top within the graphic, let me see exactly the naming of this one. Okay, so it's called graphic properties. I can select it and I can swap the opacity. I will go to 50%. If for some reason you don't have these graphic properties enabled on your toolbar, you can right click anywhere where it's open on the toolbar, in my case over here or to the right, and we can go to activate that graphic properties, and this will appear where it was, let's say, present the last time. So can just redock it at the top. Or there's another workaround for that, but this requires more clicking. We can select the exact subdivision that we want to have transparency, in this case subdivision surface 1. We can go to properties, we can go to graphics, and we can enable the transparency over here. So over here we are not going to have a percent, it will be a value from 0 to 255. So somewhere around the middle of that should be roughly 50%. So you can also use that for transparency. Okay, now let's go back to the shape. I'm gonna select it, press space in order to enable the editing, and I will hold down shift. This will allow me to make a trap that will also select the 2 points that are facing towards me. And now if I will rotate, and also 2 points that are not, so that are facing the other direction. If not, if I will not hold down shift, if I will go again to the front view, let me deselect that and only do a rectangle select, but I will undo that since I already have a point selected. This is why it's a little bit trickier. So with that vertex selection, now it's still moving. But yeah, if you just hold down shift, you can do that. Since if you already have something selected, now I don't have anything, we can select that point. Okay. So just hold down shift. Keep in mind, we see over here the information within imaginary shape. So this information is directly within the viewport. We can also address that from the toolbars. If you want more information or if you want less information, we can do that. We also have this preview level over here, but there is also a section intended only for the information regarding the manipulation. So with shift hold down, I will do that rectangle trap, and with the translation I will move this to the back. And afterwards, in order to deal with this scaling, I will just go to affinity, and I'm gonna scale it on the z-axis. So that means that we are gonna lower that profile over there. Now for the front part, we need to translate it a little bit to the left since our shape moved. And now we're gonna see that if I will try to scale the front, we're gonna have a profile that will roughly look like this. If you want to have more control on this shape, because now if I'm adjusting the back, then the front will also be moved and vice versa, we can do a face cut. So in this case we can go to styling, face cutting. If you don't find this on your toolbar, you can go to insert and you're gonna find it over here. We're gonna see face cutting, and I will set this only to one section, and I will click once on this line. So that will allow me to have another section over here that can be manipulated. So in this case, if I'm just gonna scale down the back now, we're gonna see that the front, this section is no longer influenced because we have that cut over there. It will still be influenced, but not that much as we can see. So we can easily adjust that, and now I'm gonna move it on the Z and on the Y axis. So that was the Z axis, and now a little bit on the Y in order to match that shape. And I'm gonna go to the front and I will select the 2 points at the top, and I will slightly adjust those as well, both on Z and on Y. You can also drag them directly on 2 axes, but I prefer it to do it like this, only 1 axis at a time. In my opinion, I think that you have more control doing it like this. Okay, so this will be the first shape, and we still need to slightly adjust this at the bottom. Okay, now I'm gonna proceed a little bit forward, but now I see that those 2 points are no longer aligned. If we see from normal view, we see that 1 point is lower and the other one is higher. So I will just undo that. This is important that you don't have those problems. That happened because I didn't kept the shift key pressed when I did this trap, and I only grabbed the point that was facing me. So now we see that that no longer happens. So keep that in mind when you are working with an imaginary shape, because afterwards it's a little bit harder to align those, and you need to use some other tools in order to do that. So we have the first shape. Now they are all in perfect position, and I can just press space in order to close that shape. Now for the following one, I will use the same shape that I will realign within position, and I will use the copy paste, let's say, workflow for this. Initially I will also create a new part body because I want them all to be individual. So I will go over here to part 1, and I will go and create a new part body. So let's see, within this I will go to, I can create a new part over there, but I want to create a new body. Let's see why for some reason the new part body option is not available over here. Okay, let's see, this is quite interesting, and also this is no longer fitted. Okay, so I see that this snapped. Okay, so I think that managed to fix that. This is why imaginary shape is a little bit, let's say, difficult, because there are so many options over here, and on a full HD monitor like this, they will not all be fitted. So I will just copy this over here, and I will create the part body afterwards. So we see subdivision surface 1, I selected that, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V in order to paste the second one. And for the second one, press spacebar to enable the tool palettes, select all the element, and have it moved at the bottom, so somewhere around here. And now we are going to adjust this according to the reference. That will mainly require us to adjust the upper points, so that point, hold down shift to get a trap for those 2 points, and a little bit on the y-axis. And now we see that over here there's a flat line that will cut that. We can make use of a plane in order to have that cut. I will just slightly adjust this. If you want to, you can go even smoother than this according to the image over there. So this will be, let us also do a naming. So regarding their drag coefficient, I will call this 005, and I will call this subdivision 013. Okay. Now, in order to define that plane that we are going to cut the shape, I'm going to start with this plane, so the X and Y, and we're going to have directly the possibility to define a rectangle. This will be the rectangle. We can also specify, if you want, to the length. What is important is that the length of this plane is higher than the shape that we want to cut. So in my case, it's more than enough. So you can adjust the length over here. So keep in mind that we need something more than our shape. We can go for something that is not that high, something like this, 7.5 meters. And now we just need to move that plane into position in order to do that cutting. So just move it on the Z and Y axis, and make sure that it's overlapping the whole model. So we see this is one point, that is the other one. If I'm going to rotate, it will perfectly overlap my existing shape. Okay, and now in order to do that cut, we can do trim. So we see trimmed elements. It will be the subdivision called 013, and the subdivision which is the plane, which is number 3. And now using the other previous selection, we're gonna be able to have the top section selected. So this will be the final shape in our case. Keep in mind that now we have this trim one, so this is the final surface for the 013 surface shape. If you want to edit, we will need to go back to this one, and if you are slightly gonna adjust this, I'm just gonna do a quick demo. So let's say maybe we want that shape. I'm gonna leave that and go and do an update on this. So defining work object for this trim, and that should update. Let's see. Yeah, and as we can see, that's already updated. So our newer surface will be way higher over here in that area. So I'm just gonna undo that because I wanna keep it to the initial shape. Okay. Now, for that insert part body that we don't have over here, if we want to subdivide our part into various part bodies, we can just jump. Okay, so I will leave the graphic properties over there. We can just jump within part design, and over here with the part selected, we have the possibility to insert a new body, and afterwards we can just jump back to imagine a shape. And now within this part body, if you want to, we can move, for example, 009. So I will call this 009 as the main feature that will integrate all those elements. And for this shape, I want to start with this surface. So I can copy that, go over here and have this paste. You're gonna see that now we have this as editable, so that maintain the properties of imaginary shape. If we would to paste it as a result like this, so paste special, as a result this will create it just like a surface, so this is no longer editable within imaginary shape. So keep that in mind. And we also see that it will be in yellow, since this will be a surface just like generative shape design. So I will just delete it by pressing the delete key, and I will move this within the following profile. So select everything, go to move tool, and I will move it to the bottom. Now, as we can see for this shape, there are some changes mainly to the front, and I will rapidly adjust those. So we have that shape over there. We see over here a larger curvature. So if for some reason we don't have enough precision with only these cuts, we can do one more cut over here, and afterwards we're gonna have more points that we can change, and it will be easier to go for that intended shape according to the drawing. So have it slightly moved like that, and now we're gonna have the bottom point somewhere like this, and for the final point we can again move this. Okay, if you want that curvature to be higher, we can just grab both sections and just move them like that. But now with the top section, we need to move it a little bit out and down in order to follow that better. Okay, and now we see that we no longer have enough definition over here on this curvature. So again, go with face cut and do one additional cut over there. But keep in mind that each additional cut that you create will bring you a little bit closer to the intended, let's say, design shape, but that cut also moved what I already centered, so I will need to reframe that. This is why imagining shape requires more time. It's not as, let's say, exact as part design, where you can just specify the value and you're going to have that, but it offers a lot of flexibility, because if you would want to model this within part design, it will be quite difficult. It's not impossible, but it's not the best workflow for that. And if there are changes to be done, you need to recreate everything. While over here, if you have some changes, you can quickly adjust those. So I'll just move this a little bit over here. We could add another point over here, but I will leave it like this for this case study. Now we need another plane in order to cut those, so I will select this subdivision surface. I will go to this as the working object, have that paste, press space in order to move it, select all elements, and with the translation tool bring in the plane for this cut as well, so for this trim. And now let's do that trimming. So trim, element to trim will be that surface, trimming element the plane, and again we're gonna have that other side, so this will be the shape that we want. Okay, and we have one additional part body to create. I will go and create a new part body for this, so I will just slightly jump back to part design, since over here I have insert body. It used to be in imaginary shape. I don't know why exactly it's not over there. But if you also have that problem, you can fix it like that. And we have the shape, so which will be this one. Copy, paste. And we're gonna move it within the following, the last aerodynamical half body shape that we are going to model for this case study. We see that the front of the shape is slightly changed, so this should be a little bit to the front, these 2 points a little bit as well, like that. And we're going to see that the cut will be done over there, so we can slightly adjust this cut as well. What is underneath this cutting line is not important, so I will not center that. Okay, so this is roughly after that. Now I'm just gonna copy again this plane, so that subdivision, paste, have it dragged into the desired location, which is this one, and have that trimmed again by going to trim, trimmed elements, surface and plane, and just with other side swap until that shape. Okay, now I will remove that transparency to better see those shapes, and I will just add some wheels to the last design. So in order to do that, I will select the Y and Z reference, and I will go over here and will define a cylinder. Now for the cylinder, let's see, with affinity I will add some dimensions. Initially I'm gonna start with 500 as a reference for each. Okay, I will go to a little bit higher, let's say maybe 750. And if you're gonna rotate, we're gonna see that the x-axis is the width of the wheel. So I'm just gonna change that, the width, to something like 175. So something like that. If you consider it to be too narrow, you can slightly increase it. And now we're just gonna drag that into position. So we're gonna see that this should be the location of that wheel. And a lot of people don't like imaginary shape because they don't have full control over the location of those shapes. But now we know that the width of the car is 1 meter 750. So we can just move this wheel, let's say half a meter into this direction. So go to translation, with everything selection on addition, and we see that the value on X is 0, and I will go to 500. And I will just select that, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, select everything and move the other one to negative 500. And we have that position over there. We see a little bit of overlap over here between that shape and the wheel, but we can slightly adjust that by either moving the wheel a little bit on the inside or adjusting the width, because now the width is quite large on like that. So let's scale it a little bit and center it. We can also do this in, let's say, post-editing directly in Surface with mirroring in GSD, but I prefer it to do it like this in Imagine and Shape if it's possible and it's not, let's say, complex. So select everything, and I will slightly adjust the width of the wheel to be only 200. We see we no longer have so much overlap over there. I will do the same for this one. So again, only 200 for the width. And for the translation, I will go something like minus 470. And that should get rid of that, or we can go directly 450 in order to be sure that we don't have any overlapping area over there. That would also be trimmed in order to leave the wheel and also room for the wheel to rotate and stuff like that, but if you want to adjust it, you can do that with no problems. Now I will select both wheels and I will copy them. With both selected, go to translation, and we can move those within position. If you're gonna look at this from the front view, we're gonna see exactly where we will position those wheels according to the drawing. And we have those done. Okay, I see that over here both wheels have been moved. So this is not visible. This is because I copy pasted those in front of Surface 9, and currently Catia is over here where we have that line. So I need to go to Surface 9 and define this as a work object. And that will also show the last part. So keep in mind this tip regarding defining work object, where exactly in time you want Catia to be. And you can, the main advantage is that you can go back in time in the tree and change those, and those changes will affect, and they will be done before those commands. Okay, so I hope that you find this video useful regarding Imagine and Shape, how you can rapidly design half bodies used for aerodynamics. I will now create a short section for YouTube Shorts, since I saw that you can only link them if you created them in the initial video. So I will okay. If we're still gonna have some problems with that one, we can just select it, copy it, and paste it within the other body, but there shouldn't be any problems now. And we still have the wheel from the bottom section. Okay, so I hope you find this content useful. If so, please let me know in the comment section if you want me to create more of these videos, because currently my Catia videos are not having a lot of views, and this is really discouraging and makes me want to create other kind of content. So over here we have this how to define more twist in Catia, only 60 views. Over here with the custom keys, this is also something that I asked the people also on GrabCAD also over here on YouTube if people make use of hotkeys, but I didn't get any comment. So as we can see, no comments over here. And I also made a GrabCAD post about this. And if you're gonna see on GrabCAD on questions, I asked this. So do Catia V5 make use of custom hotkeys? It only has 2 answers and 26 views. And only Jack said that this is a good discussion and some good Catia tips were present within that video. So this is regarding the fact that within this video I also use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, but I'm curious if people have set up other custom keys. Especially for Imagine and Shape, the hotkeys are quite unfriendly, and I prefer the ones from Fusion, especially for the freeform, because I'm gonna create this video in Fusion as well. But look at this hotkey, so cylinder, Alt, Shift and Y, so that's a really hard hotkey when you have so many, let's say, options. Okay, so that's it for this video. Please let me know in the comment section what is your opinion regarding this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.